Let's go back to Kamala Harris here, because now they're saying Donald Trump has not denounced the violence. He has repeatedly, and he's actually tried to take proactive measures against the violence. You guys have funded the violence, which we will get to in a second. And I mean many millions of dollars funding directly to these violent rioters, violent felons, thugs in the streets. Wait, pause. Trump ramps up disinformation campaign against Biden. We have to go to this. Look, it's the guy with Dwight Schrute.
To reveal here, at some point in the future, I'm going to show you all the evidence of it. That never comes, and yet, you know, he propagates this kind of stuff. I mean, it's a pattern, is it not, with the president?
It's a long pattern. This president is a conspiracy theorist.
He's made a bunch of conspiracies, which, by the way, what they're talking about is Donald Trump made the quote. He made the statement that there are people in the shadows. I'll tell you some other day, there are people in the shadows pulling the strings. And this is one thing that Donald Trump shoots from the hip, Joe Biden, and then sometimes doesn't think it through. Let's get through where some of the funding, follow the money trail with these riots, because there have been a lot of people out of state who've come in to riot. So Kamala Harris tweeted out a link, by the way, to the Minnesota Freedom Fund asking people to donate. This is important when we're talking about people in the shadows. The purse strings, 13 of Joe Biden's staff also donated to the Minnesota Freedom Fund. So let's look at who the Minnesota Freedom Fund has set free. Again, no conspiracy theory needed. We can follow the money trail. Can we get a shout out for the $100,000 to Darnica Floyd, stabbed a friend to death? Minnesota Freedom Fund donated to, supported by the former vice president, presidential candidate Joe Biden, and Broad Kamala Harris. First POS candidate, half POS candidate. They paid Minnesota Freedom Fund $350,000 to free Christopher Boswell, twice convicted rapist who currently is charged with assault, kidnapping, and sexual assault in 2 separate cases.
That's interesting.
They paid $75,000. Let's get a for Jaleel Stallings, not to be confused with Jaleel White.
A treasure.
National
treasure, yes.
Sullying the names of good Jaleels everywhere. Did I do that? No, you didn't do this. That's Jaleel Stallings.
This is a different one.
By the way, you don't need to try and be Stefan. Don't try so hard, Mr. Urkel. Just be you. Jaleel Stallings shot at members of a SWAT team during the riots in May.
Okay.
It's a BB gun.
And here's another one. Even though the Minnesota Freedom Fund was not directly involved, the catch and release approach is exactly what led to the Portland shooter being free. He'd already been arrested for bringing in a loaded gun to earlier protests, and then he was released without being tried at all. So when we say fomenting violence because Donald Trump, and this is what they try and corner him and say, well, why won't you call it the Kenosha shooter? Because it's under investigation. And by the way, it's also very different. Let's just say you really, really hate conservatives, you really hate Republicans, and you really hate Kyle Rittenhouse. Let's say that Kyle Rittenhouse is a little prick, right? Never did a good thing in his life. Here's the thing. It is very, very different when you have people who are armed with Molotov cocktails, with guns, who are burning down businesses or assaulting unarmed people, and at the very least, Kyle Rittenhouse shooting people who were armed. When people say, why did you need a gun? Well, who did he shoot? A guy with a gun! That's why he needed a gun.
Exactly.
So that does change the scenario when two people have guns, regardless of where you line up ideologically. That is not the same as the kind of violence that has been taking place against businesses, innocent bystanders, and by the way, yes, other civilians who probably would have supported this movement, only their house is being lit ablaze and the paramedics and the fire department can't get through because the cops have to pave a way. So let's be really clear. They try and catch Donald Trump on Rittenhouse and say, why haven't you condemned them? Well, you have actively donated and called for other people to donate to multiple times convicted rapists. And this is really something my half-Asian lawyers always like, well, charged allegedly. I don't even have to say that shit, do I? Convicted twice, half-Asian Bill. Am I wrong?
Look, when there are multiple people with the kind of background where you can talk about, look at their convicted crimes. And then when you inform officers or people who are being involved, why isn't there a denouncing that comes out for the people who are causing this kind of violence? And the fact that that Biden and his staff are out there, I understand. Look, there's certain places, counties, cities, states where the bail program is terrible. But there's also a reason why we have a program that says you got to lock up violent people so they don't go back out and shoot people in Portland.